I'm showing you the better photo. All right, they lived, not here, they lived in a little shack on the other side of this building. This building belonged to another family. They lived on the other side. Why in a shack? Here's something interesting to say. When the Rahabvia neighborhood was established, this is a photo that I showed you, the map from 1921. Look what it says here. Whatever you see green is machul, sold. All right, it's still on paper. There's nothing built, but they've already sold most of the plots. Let's talk numbers, money. If a 1 dunam plot in Beit HaKeren costs 23 Egyptian grush mitzri, all right? It was, sorry, 25 grush mitzri in Beit HaKeren. A plot the same size, 1 dunam in Rahabvia was 230. It's almost 10 times, right? It was very, very popular. Everybody wanted to live in Rahabvia. And that's why the family, the Bensky family, when they bought the plot, they did not have enough money to build a house. Smart investment. So what they had was just a little shack, timber shack, that they somehow bought from the army, the British army, the leftovers from the war, right, from the First World War. And that's where they lived. That's where they raised their 2 kids, Amram and Eli. In 1948, with the establishment of the State of Israel, Eli with Ayn, by the way, Eli. This little guy was already grown up, and he was 21 years old. Yeah, he was going to get married 3 days before his wedding. He got killed during the battle over Bet Keshet in Lower Galilee. Later on, by the way, I don't know if you're familiar with this very sad story about his fiancée, who didn't marry for many, many years. At least at the end, Baruch Hashem, she did get married. She had a few kids. Just a few years ago, she wrote a book which became a play that is named in Hebrew Sipur Ahava Eretz Israeli. A Eretz Israeli story. It's really an incredible story about this, about her getting prepared for her wedding and then hearing that her fiancé was killed in Bet Keshet. So he was killed in 1948, and 3 years later, his father was elected to be the second president after Weizmann passed away. And they lived in a shack, remember? In a shack on the other side. And the government said, sorry, you can't do it. I mean, we cannot have our president living in a shack. You have to move to another house in Tobia, not too far. There is a house that the government bought. We want you to move there. So Yitzhak Ben Tzvi and Rahabvia said, we are not going anywhere. I mean, this is the time of Tzena, right? People have nothing to eat. People live in ma'abarot. There's so many people coming to Jerusalem, to the country, to Israel, living in shacks, living in tents. We're not going to move into a palace in Tobia. No way. So the agreement was, they were kind of like, there were a lot of talkings. The agreement was that they're going to get rid of the shack. They're going to build just a building, apartments, and they're only going to live on the first floor. All the rest is going to be just other apartments. They did not throw away the shack, but they moved it to Bet Keshet in Lower Galilee, where until these very days, if you enter the Bet Keshet, you can see the original shack, which is now dedicated as a memorial for Eli Ben Tzvi. Right, just when you go up the asphalt road, you see it on the right. So he was elected in 1952. Everybody was just waiting for him to finish his role, because come on, it's so, really lame. You can't have a president living in such a lame house. The government bought this house from the neighbor and bought a big timber shack, not a tiny one, like a big hall, reservation, how do you say, reception, thank you, for reception. So people whoever came to visit the president, or for a diplomatic meeting or something, they would come up through here, through the boulevard, and then they would enter the president's residence through here. That's why you still have the symbol up here. And painter in Tel Aviv, Arya Navon, with a really good sense of humor, try to somehow describe how it might have looked back then a reception like this would have the diplomats coming up the alley with, we didn't have enough money to buy, a red carpet, so there would be these poor people having to run and replace them and have put a new one up to the shack of the president's residence in Jerusalem. Of course, it wasn't like this, but you just get the idea. Yitzhak Ben Tzvi was elected again for a second cadencia, and then for the third. He's the only president in Israel that was elected 3 times. He passed away in 1963 during his third role. He was such an incredible man, a researcher, first of all. He wrote over 70 books about the history of the people of Israel. I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be a money bill, the older 100.
We just saw it.
You saw it. Okay, so if you guys remember, if you take a look on the other side, you can see the settlement of Ki'im. He was the one who found that there were Jews still living in Ki'im, found the Zinati family. So, and he was such a modest man, and lots of stories about how he insisted on not wearing a suit. He said, I'm a worker, I came here in a second aliyah. I work in the garden, I don't really need this. Here's a funny story about how one day there was a diplomat group of 3 people coming from Ghana, Africa, right? So everybody knew it's going to be, a problem, because they're probably going to wear some very weird clothes, kind of like curtains with different very crazy colors, right? So where are they going to walk through? Here, right? And all the kids in Rahabvia are going to sit on the balconies and just laugh their guts out. What do you do? I mean, what can you do? That's the president's residence. So the secretary here sent a letter to all the parents, week in advance, saying, listen, Yom Shlishi, Tuesday, afternoon, please make sure that you lock your kids in the house and do not go out while the ceremony is over. This was, of course, a stupid thing to do, because it was both the kids and the parents all together going out, laughing their guts out. And I found the photo. That was taken back then. It was, of course, black and white. I took the freedom of coloring the way. Coming up the green boulevard, everybody laughing. So when Yitzhak Ben Tzvi passed away in 1963, the next president, Shazar, did not stay here even a second, right? He moved to Rahabvia, and the new residence of president was built for him, and that's where the president's residence is there until today, in Rahabvia. So what happened here?
He lived here.
Yes, he lived on the other side. Right, on the other side, this was, as I said, bought by the government for the secretary for all the administration. And after he passed away, the family kept on living here, and this entire house was given to the family, and they turned it into Yad Yitzhak Ben Tzvi, a memorial for Yitzhak Ben Tzvi, where I work. And you probably know that we have a gorgeous library in this building, which you can find a lot of cool stuff, mainly in Hebrew, but I'm telling you, if you're looking for unique books about history, this is a place to look for it. Also, lots of courses about Jerusalem, of the land of Israel, tour guiding course, lots of books I wrote, at least one I already published that you can find in our store. So this is a very unique place in the heart of Rahabvia. I'm saying if you have just 10 minutes to spend in Rahabvia with a group, I think this is probably good. Okay, how much time do I have? 2 minutes?
Nothing.
2 minutes.